Welcome to another episode of Huddle Up at Home. Today, I am joined by a really good friend of mine, offensive line coach for the Carolina Panthers, Pat Meyer. Pat, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
No, that's great, Brooke. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, I was so excited to get you on here, talk to you about getting a new team. You got hired by the Panthers this year. You have a new head coach there. So it's new for everyone, really, on the entire team. And then Corona hits, and you have this stay-at-home order. First of all, how are you doing with it? And then how is the team as a whole, from what you can see, dealing with all of this?
Yeah, well, I'm back here in California with my family, so everybody here is good and safe, and we've been doing our best to, try to stay isolated as best we can and flatten the curve and do our part and all that. So, that part of it, family-wise, it's been good. It's been different because obviously I'm a little bit different in terms of with a new team. I'm in these meetings now with players, and half of them I've never met before, just because it was the time of year that the players were gone, and you get a new team and a new staff in there, new staff I should say, in there, and in the off season the players don't typically come back until until April. There were some that were in the weight room lifting and that, and I got to meet some of the guys, but in the O-line room there's I get 17 offensive linemen in our virtual meetings right now, and I've coached a few of them in the past, and I got to meet a handful of them in the weight room, but I would say more than half of them I've never met in person before. But, after doing this now for 5 weeks, it's, I feel like I've known them, like when we get back and we're face to face, it won't be awkward. It'll be kind of like, well, yeah, heck, I guess I really never have met you in person, but it seems like, we're spending a lot of time with them. So it seems like we really do know each other right now. So it is a little bit different.
Do you feel like you're going to be fully prepared for the season, as if other teams will be, with a head coach that they've had for years now having a new head coach? Do you think you'll be caught up with every other team, or is this kind of just like a setback?
You know what, Brooke, I would say, to be honest with you, I would say in terms of terminology and scheme and teaching that and showing them videos and doing all that, I don't think it's much different. I don't. I mean, it's, because you're showing them, live NFL clips and practice clips and old OTA clips and training camp clips and all that. So they're getting all that, and you're teaching them the terms, and you're teaching them the technique on the video, on the virtual chat. The difference probably is you're this time of year we would have the guys and we'd have them out there, and we'd have X amount of time to work with them on the field in terms of like technique and that. Where right now, they're doing it on their own. So I think that's probably the biggest difference, is you're not hands on in terms of being on the field, whether it's a walkthrough or whether it's a helmets practice. Right now, like OTAs would be going on, so we'd actually be practicing. You don't get those practice reps back. But I'm sure once this all gets back, going and it's normal and everybody's back together, obviously the NFL is going to have to give us time to, for the players to get acclimated and get, ready for the season, and for us to have enough time to get them in football shape and get them in the correct techniques they need to do, to perform correctly out there. So, yeah, it's probably a little bit on that end, but I don't think it's as big as, now that we're doing it, we're used to doing it this way. I think the learning curve has changed a lot.
And you're dealing with the offensive line. Do you feel that I don't know how many new guys you brought in, but do you feel that chemistry is there and it's growing over the Zoom calls as well as it would be in a meeting?
I do. I think from virtual meeting one to right now, I think there's just more of that, and it's offensive linemen. I get it. And it's that you showing them, hey, here's the play, and here's how I want you to approach the block, or here's a run, and here's the pass protection, here's how I want you to approach it. And you show them over and over and over again, just like you would. I would teach it no different. So I would teach it absolutely not different at all if I were in the room with them. And I was sitting in the back of the room, and I was using my telestrator, and I was showing them the plays, and I am on here. So, and once they see the film and they're like, I get it now, and I keep showing them over and over again how it works and how it's effective. then they start, they buy into it and they believe it. And I could tell, you can tell by just looking at their faces that, that it's different now 5 weeks into it rather than what it was day one. When they're like, I've never even met this guy and he's telling me to do it. I've never done it this way. I've played for whatever 8 years and I've never done it that way. And then they, there's that trust after you kind of get to know them and kind of feel out who they are and that. So yeah, I think it's for what it is, how we're doing it, and we're always trying to find different ways of doing it virtually and whatever, giving them tasks and quizzing them on stuff and letting them compete in that way and trying to make it somewhat competitive in that way. It's I think it's been working well.
And have you been able to meet the rest of the coaching staff yet? And that
Yeah, I have. I was out there. I was out there initially in late January and February before they shut it down. Before pretty much the NFL shut it down and pretty much the nation shut it down. So as a staff, like I said, limited players, just the players that lived in the Charlotte area that were coming in voluntary, working out on their own. But yes, as the staff, we were together there for maybe a good month and a half or 2 months.
And you've been on enough coaching staffs at this point to know what works and what doesn't. Do you feel that this coaching staff has meshed well and the characteristics are all the same there? Do you think it's going to be
I do.
a good season?
I think we're in a unique business. I mean, it's a business, but it's a unique business. Everybody that's involved with it, and I'm talking mostly especially the coaches. I mean, most of them are ex-players, or they've just been around the game. Their dad was a coach, and they're ex-players, whether it was in the NFL or in college or even in high school. But that's all most of them, that's all they've ever done or ever known since they're little. So since they're little kids, and that's all. So it's kind of that camaraderie of it's just football, and it is what, and it's the love of the game and the passion for the sport and that. Yeah, I think it's a good mix of of coaches in there. You get the younger guys and you got some older guys that are the veteran guys, and it's been good. We've met a lot virtually and met a lot as as coaching staff and as an offensive staff and as a whole whole organization in the past. And we had to go through like the draft process, and it was new for everybody. But no, I think it's a good mixture of guys, and it seemed like a really good group of the 2 months that I was out there. I enjoyed meeting guys. I got an assistant who I'd never met before, and it's been good. It's been good to meet new comrades and new friends and colleagues now.
And you said you got to spend a little time in Carolina before all of this craziness hit. How does it compare to Southern California? Are you liking it out there?
Oh yeah, I like Charlotte. Charlotte's is cool. It's a neat town. It really is. It's a neat town. I spent a lot of time in North Carolina 20 years ago when I coached at NC State back in the early 2000s. So I know North Carolina pretty well, and I spent quite a bit of time in Charlotte area back then. But it's changed. Like anything, it's changed. It's a neat town. It's a big city, but it's got the small town feel. It's not a huge town, but it's got it's a neat little, they call it downtown. They call it uptown there. It's got a neat little uptown area, and you got the football stadium right in the heart of it, and you got the AAA baseball team that's 2 blocks away, and you got your brand new high res down there, and there's a bunch to do. The area's nice. It's clean. It's a like I said, it's a neat little town. You just don't see palm trees out there. That's the difference.
Have your kids been out there yet?
They have not been out there just because, again, I was out there at the end of January through like February and that. So
right.
We actually were planning a trip. I was bringing them out on spring break, and having my wife and kids come out on their spring break, which would have been like beginning of April. And we were going to do that, and unfortunately, things happened. But yeah, we were going to go to a big concert there at the Bank of America Stadium. We had open night baseball tickets for the AAA team the weekend. They're going to come out, so we'll have to make it up once we get rolling, maybe next spring.
Yeah, that sounds fun. You're gonna have to redo that trip. And then now you're doing Zoom calls at home, hanging out with the kids. I know I've enjoyed so much extra time with my dad that like normally we just wouldn't have this time. Like he'd be in the office, we'd be doing our thing. What has been your favorite activity to do with the girls and Chris this time?
You know what? Yeah, it's actually really fortunate for me because they would have been here, through the spring, and I'd have been in Charlotte the whole time. Even if I was still here, coaching here with the Chargers, I would have been at the office and working until whatever 4 or 5 o'clock in the off season, and then dealing with traffic, getting back home here in LA and, getting home at 5 o'clock every day. Well, where I'm on the West Coast now, it's like, we still start staff meetings like at 8:30 Eastern. So I'm in staff meetings, pitch black outside. I'm getting up, I'm walking like every morning at like 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? It's off season. I'm up, I'm up walking in that at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch black. People are just going to bed. And, but it's been good because, I work from 5:30 in the morning until about, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 5 o'clock Eastern. And, so it's been, then you get to spend the whole afternoon and evening with them. It's kind of cool. Well, we really, during this, it's been more, we've been, especially early on, we were more isolated and at home, and where we live here, it's nice. And we got a nice little pool in the backyard and just spending time with them and watching movies at night. We got movie night every night, and we just finished all 23 Marvel movies in a row and
oh my goodness,
watched them in sequence and just, swimming or shooting basketballs out front and doing that, just hanging out, doing that, going to the park, to the open space area, and, pitching and catching with the little ones and all that. So it's been neat.
It's so fun. And then everything else on top of that, homeschooling. Did you have to get involved in that at all?
Well, fortunate for them, my meetings are the same time they're in school. So that's
perfect.
So that's Erin, that's the mommy. The mommy's got them, because by the time I'm done with my meetings and everything, they're probably pretty much done with their school. And that's good. That's fortunate for them, like I said.
Yeah, I'm kind of praying that this never comes back again when I have kids someday, because me homeschooling, it's not going to go over very well.
There'll be more child abuse issues going on.
Yeah, oh God, that'd be so bad. Like, just go sit in the corner until you want to figure this out.
You're in a timeout right now.
I don't know any math, so I'm not helping at all. Well, that's awesome. Do you guys have any plans then to move over to Carolina? Do you know when and any of that?
I don't. Yeah, we're just waiting to hear, what's going on in terms of like, NFL, and in terms of like dates. Every now and then they kind of give you updates of what's going on and whatnot. So we're just waiting to hear, like, even still in this off season time, is there going to be, any time where guys are going to be allowed back in the facility or not? And, it doesn't seem like that's probably going to be the case. So probably it seems like we're probably going to end up being, training camp sometime in July. So we're just playing it by ear and ready to roll whenever they tell us we're ready to go. We're going.
Right. Well, I hope you enjoy this time with your kids and get going with the Zoom calls and get to know your new team. I'm so excited for y'all. It's going to be awesome. And best of luck this year. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Brooke. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
All right. See ya.